He was the face that made people believe anything was possible, the man who showed up in the toughest situations with a smile on his face and a rope strong enough to pull anyone out of the mud. Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery wasn't just good at what he did, he was great. People loved watching him take on the wildest rescues, helping strangers who were stuck in deep sand, snow, or rocky mountain trails. He made it look easy, calm, steady, always in control. He gave everyone a feeling of safety. But behind that confident voice and those helpful hands was something that didn't match the picture-perfect image on screen. As more fans watched, more success came, and the pressure to always show up, always smile, and always save the day kept growing. People thought he had it all: fame, a loving crew, a loyal audience, and a job he seemed to love. But what they didn't see was the cost of being the hero every day. Matt was tired, more tired than anyone knew. There were days he didn't want to get out of bed, but he had to, because people were watching. And when you become a symbol of strength, it's hard to admit that you're struggling inside. The long hours, the danger, the responsibility, it all added up. Still, he kept pushing through, because that's what heroes do. But in the quiet moments, when the cameras stopped and the roads were finally clear, Matt was left alone with thoughts he didn't know how to silence. There was a weight behind his eyes, something fans started to notice without fully understanding. He wasn't just pulling trucks anymore. He was pulling himself through something heavy, something silent, something hidden. And no one really knew how deep it went, not even the people closest to him. He didn't want to worry them. He didn't want to let anyone down. So he kept going, filming, smiling, helping. But sometimes the person who rescues everyone else is the one who needs saving the most. The story of Matt from Matt's Off-Road Recovery isn't just about getting people out of trouble. It's about what happens when the strong ones break quietly. It's about the pressure to be okay when you're not, and the fear of telling the truth when everyone sees you as a role model. Something was terribly wrong, and the saddest part is, most of us didn't see it until it was too late. Matt had a special gift. He could show up in the worst conditions and bring calm to chaos. Whether it was a family stuck in the desert or a driver stranded in the snow, Matt always arrived like a hero. People watched his videos and felt inspired. They saw a man who never gave up, who always found a way, and who never left anyone behind. But what most people didn't know was that while he was saving others, he was slowly falling apart inside. It's hard to believe, but the truth is Matt saved everyone, except himself. Every recovery, every rescue, every smile for the camera took something from him. He poured all his energy into helping others, but left very little for himself. It's easy to forget that even the strongest people have limits, and Matt had reached his. But he didn't want anyone to know. He felt like he had to be strong all the time. He thought if he admitted he was hurting, he'd disappoint the people who believed in him. So he kept the pain hidden behind the wheel of his recovery truck. He kept the sadness buried beneath his calm voice. He kept the fear locked away behind his brave actions. He thought he could handle it. He thought he could keep going. But slowly the cracks started to show. Small things at first. A tired look in his eyes. A missed smile. A moment of silence where laughter used to be. Some fans noticed but didn't say anything. Others thought maybe he was just having a rough day. No one guessed how deep the problem really was. Because how could the man who rescued everyone be the one who needed rescuing? That question became more real with time. Matt wasn't taking care of himself the way he used to. He was pushing his body and mind too hard, always trying to be there for others. And in doing that, he forgot how to be there for himself. The truth is, Matt gave everything he had to his work. He gave people hope. He gave them strength. He gave them second chances. But in the middle of all that giving, he forgot to give himself a break. And when you never stop to rest, to breathe, to ask for help, you can lose yourself without even noticing. That's what happened to Matt. He was always the first to show up for someone else. But when it came to his own pain, he stayed quiet. He didn't want to be a burden. He didn't want to worry anyone. And that silence, that quiet suffering, became the most dangerous part of all. He became the man who saved everyone, except the one person who needed saving most: himself. And now, people are starting to wonder how someone so strong, so kind, and so full of life could have been struggling for so long without anyone knowing. Every time you watched Matt on screen, it felt like watching a real-life superhero. He was always calm, always ready, and always had a way to solve even the hardest situations. Whether it was pulling a huge truck out of deep mud or guiding a lost traveler to safety, he did it with confidence and kindness. People trusted him, admired him, and some even felt like they knew him. But what if that version of Matt, the one we all saw and loved, was only part of the story? What if behind those viral videos and smiling thumbnails was a truth so painful that he never wanted the world to see it? That's the part that no one expected, the part that was never shown. The rescue videos, as real as they looked, only told one side of Matt's life. The truth is, they were also hiding something. Not just the physical struggle or the hard work, but the emotional weight Matt was carrying every single day. He made it look easy, but it wasn't. He was breaking down slowly, quietly, while still smiling for the camera. There were moments he edited out, times he looked into the distance, lost in thought, days when he didn't want to film at all, but forced himself to anyway because fans were waiting. He didn't want to let anyone down, so he kept putting on the brave face. But off camera, the silence was louder than any engine noise. That's where the truth lived. In the quiet moments no one ever saw. The pressure to stay positive, to be strong, to never show weakness was eating him alive. And still, he didn't stop. He thought he had to keep it all together for everyone else. But inside, he was struggling to hold on. It wasn't about the broken trucks anymore. It was about the broken feelings he kept hidden from the world. Some close friends began to notice that Matt was different. Not on the outside, but in the way he seemed more tired, more distant, less like himself. But he never said much. He didn't want anyone worrying. He just kept filming, kept editing, kept rescuing, because that was the job. That was who people thought he was. But how long can someone live like that before everything starts to fall apart? The truth Matt never wanted you to see was that being strong all the time hurt him more than anyone knew. His story wasn't just about saving people stuck in the dirt. It was also about a man sinking deeper into his own pain while the world cheered him on, completely unaware of what he was really going through. And now that some of those hidden truths are starting to come out, it leaves everyone asking one heartbreaking question: why didn't we see the signs? When the camera was rolling, Matt had a spark in his eyes and a calm voice that made people feel safe, even in the most dangerous situations. His laugh was warm, his words were steady, and his presence felt strong. But something strange started to happen, and most people didn't even notice it at first. The smile that used to come so naturally began to fade, just a little at a time. There were moments when the smile felt forced, like he was trying to convince the world, and maybe himself, that everything was okay. But when the cameras stopped rolling, that smile disappeared completely. In those quiet moments off camera, Matt wasn't the strong hero anymore. He was tired. Not just from long days and tough rescues, but from carrying something much heavier inside. There were times he would sit alone in his truck, staring out the window, not saying a word. Times when his team noticed the silence but didn't know what to say. No one really knew what was going on because Matt never talked about it. He didn't want to be the one needing help. He was the helper, the leader, the guy who pulled people out of bad places. But where was his escape when he was the one stuck? The camera couldn't catch the sadness in his eyes when no one was around. It didn't record the nights he couldn't sleep or the mornings when he had to force himself to get up and pretend. Everything was fine. His smile had become something he wore like armor, something to hide the pain he didn't think anyone would understand. And as the months went by, the spark that made Matt who he was began to dim. He still did the work. He still helped people. But something was missing, and only the people who knew him best could feel it. He wasn't laughing as much. He wasn't talking as much. He was there, but also far away. It was like a part of him was slowly fading, and no one knew how to bring him back. The saddest part is that Matt never stopped caring about others. He just forgot how to care for himself. And in that silent struggle hidden behind the bright lights of YouTube and the loud engines of recovery vehicles, Matt was falling apart. He didn't want to ask for help, and maybe he didn't even know how. So he kept showing up, doing what he always did, saving people with a quiet pain in his heart. And now, looking back, those missing smiles and quiet moments mean something more. They were signs, warnings, cries for help without a sound, and the world didn't hear them until it was too late. At first, no one really thought much of it. Matt was always the strong one, always the one who held everything together no matter how hard things got. But slowly, something started to change, and the people closest to him began to feel it, even if they couldn't explain it. There was a quiet sadness in the way he moved, a heaviness in his voice that didn't used to be there. He wasn't talking as much, wasn't laughing as loud, and sometimes he would just drift off into thought in the middle of a conversation. His friends noticed it, but they didn't want to believe something was really wrong. Maybe he was just tired, maybe he was just busy, maybe it was nothing. But deep down, they could feel it. Something wasn't right. He had always been the one to check on others, to ask how they were doing, to lift them up when they were down. But now, he didn't seem like himself. He was showing up, but he wasn't really there. His heart wasn't in it the way it used to be, and no one knew why. They asked him if he was okay, and he always gave the same answer. "I'm fine." But his eyes told a different story. They were tired, distant, filled with something unspoken. And still, he kept going. He kept rescuing, kept filming, kept leading, because that's what people expected from him. He didn't want to be the one who needed help. He didn't want to be a problem. So he hid everything behind that quiet smile and strong hands. But those who loved him most began to worry. They started asking themselves if they had missed something, if they should have pushed harder, listened closer, stayed longer. Because the truth is, the signs were there. He was changing. He was slipping. But no one knew how deep it went. He didn't let anyone in. And now they live with that painful question that never goes away. What if we had done more? What if we had just seen what he was really feeling? What if he had told us? The truth is, Matt didn't want to be a burden. He thought he had to carry it alone, but he didn't have to. He had people who loved him, people who would have done anything to help him if they had only known what was really going on. And that's what hurts the most. He wasn't just a hero to strangers on YouTube. He was a brother, a friend, a teammate. And even though they were right beside him, they still couldn't see the full pain he was hiding. That's the danger. of quiet suffering. It fools even the ones who know you best. And now they're left with silence, replaying old conversations, looking for clues they never saw, hoping somehow they can learn from the pain they didn't understand in time.